Hello, and welcome to Empowered Voices. Thank you for joining us. We here at Empowered Voices, we love to cultivate inner strength, resilience, and holistic well-being. We are guided by our faith and the nurturing of each other. Today, we will be discussing chaos and clarity. If you joined us last week, we discussed distractions. And now today, I want to say, in clarity and chaos, what happens when everything around you feels loud, it feels so fast, you feel disorganized, and you become lost. Clarity isn't something that you have to find. It's something you create during those times of chaos. And so today, I want to just open up by asking, how is it that you find yourself during those moments when you feel chaos has taken over in your life?
Thank you so much for having us here. Listen, I think it's important that we break down, the body of chaos and what that looks like in this world presently. We could talk about, we can go into so many avenues when it comes to chaos, just in this governing world that we're living in right now. But I think chaos, what we fail to realize most of the time is that you're right. Yes, chaos is very loud and it's very noisy and it makes us feel, some of us makes it feel like we're out of place. But then there are some of us that thinks that chaos is normal and chaos is the way that it's supposed to be, because they have adopted this idea that life is hard, life is difficult. And so comes all that chaos. But it's important that we try to channel it a little bit and say, okay, I know chaos is not something I could just completely take away, right? Because you can't control the externals, but what you can control is the internals. And that's what we're talking about today, is the clarity and creating the clarity. I want to start by saying that that chaos intoxicates joy and peace. And what I mean by that is, and I don't say that it takes away our joy and peace, it intoxicates it. Because again, it's not about, some people do really, really well in chaos, and then there's others that don't do well in chaos, right? But chaos is somewhat of a negative, as as far as I could see, is somewhat of a negative, right? And so how do we turn that into a positive? And we've talked about this, I mean, more times than I'd like to admit. But one of the things that even we mentioned last week was, how distractions come in as busyness and feeling like you need to be, busy in order to be productive. Right. And we've talked about this even in this week, that, sometimes we have to stop and we have to just really identify what's a priority, what's not a priority, and stop this idea of just needing to do the next thing and staying busy and staying on top of and everything like that. Because what are you doing? You're breeding chaos in that moment, right? Because staying busy doesn't always necessarily mean you're doing something. You could just be doing a lot of nothing, right? Yeah. And so I think, that it's not about doing a lot, because this chaos starts to impersonate comfortability. And what I mean by that, it takes on this image of, as long as I'm doing something, as long as I'm going forward, as long as I'm trucking along, I'm going to be okay. It's going to work out. But now you've just breeded chaos instead of really taking the time to identify what's important and what's not important, and trimming that fat. The meat is really, really good, but you got a lot of fat on the meat. Right. And what is that really doing for you? Right. And so it brought me to really research and say, okay, so what does God say about that? Right. And we know that in 1 Corinthians 4:33, he says, it says, for God is not a God of confusion, but of peace, right? Peace, love, and a sound mind, right? And so that is contrary to chaos. That does not breed chaos. It also says that God reflects order. He did it the moment he created this world. From day one, it was all intentional. It was in order. It was specified for that reason. And he is a God of order.
Right.
So when we're trying to say, okay, to me, the best form of life is to try to mirror how God sees things, right? That's how I see it. And when I started researching this, and I said, how does he do it, right? And it says he has, he reflects order. Apostle Paul also mentions that you do everything in decency and order when it was regarding the church. It's another form of order that we see in the Bible. We also see that the purpose of order is not about rules and regulations.
Right. Right.
That to me is so important, because the purpose of order doesn't mean that you have you have all these stipulations in place. It's not the purpose of order. The purpose of order is so that you can clear the clutter and invite peace, which then invites understanding.
Right.
And you're able to see things more vividly,
Right.
clearly, right? And so I think I'll end with, if you're in this position of, chaos meeting your clarity, or it's clashing with each other, I think it's important that you make your mind up and stay intentional. It doesn't have to look like everybody else's way of order. That's another thing I had to realize, that my order is not equivalent to this person or that person. It is about you just creating space to invite the peace and invite the understanding. And we mentioned even earlier this week that you said clarity is awareness. And I know you're gonna bring that up a little bit later, but yes, but awareness is honesty. And you have to start with being honest with yourself. I know I said a lot, so I'm gonna what about you? What do you have with that?
Well, to me, my actual meaning for chaos is it's when things are feeling unstable or overwhelming, confusing, it's noisy or emotionally heavy, out of order or out of control. Sometimes we do things and people don't seem to understand that we do it. We think we're doing it in control, but we're doing it out of control. And we're doing it, and people are getting confused because of the way you're saying things and telling them to do things. You think it's stable, but really it's unstable. It's not, it's chaos, actually. Chaos is external. People don't seem to understand that it's a life event. It comes from other people's pressures, changes. It comes from other people, pressure and change. That's what chaos does.
Right.
It's actually external. Internal. It's fear, overthinking, self-doubt. That's what, and we all have that. We all have fears. We all have self-doubts. We all overthink. We can't nobody say that they don't. That's something that we all do. We have to learn that chaos mixes everything together. Clarity starts when you untangle it. My example is the fact is what is actually happening. The feeling is what emotions is triggering. What is your emotion triggering the chaos or the clarity? You know what I'm saying? Do you feel it? Can you feel it? Yes. Can you grow from it? Yes. Can you leap from it? Yeah. You have to learn how to shrink it.
Right.
You have to really learn how to shrink that you're feeling. Clarity is when you see truth without distortion. You understand what matters and what doesn't. To me, sometimes people think, oh, well, she has this expression on her face. It don't matter to her. Yes, it does matter. But, sometimes we can't see that it matters because nobody understands.
Mm.
They figure that you're in chaos. No, it's not that we're in chaos. We just learn to put as they say, let them. We learn to shut our mouths
Mm-hmm.
when we feeling out of alignment, and we just don't. You got to feel aligned. You
Mm.
got to feel aligned with the person in your mind, your heart, and your
Mhm.
values.
Mm-hmm.
Having clarity in the midst of shows is a storm is still happening, but you're not lost inside it.
That's good. Yeah, come on.
Good.
Did
That's
Jesus
real
do it?
good. So I'm hearing realignment. I'm hearing external factors. And what I would like to do is just kind of bring this all together, because in chaos is multiple options.
Mhm.
That's how I think of chaos.
That's good.
Chaos is having too much input, too many competing factors,
Come on.
not being able to prioritize everything that is coming at you all at once. But when you have clarity, all of that reduces. So chaos multiplies your option, where clarity reduces them. And when you have clarity, I want to share with you all, I just came off of a 10-day fast. And as I was fasting, I began in the first 3 days, I've been journaling. And as I was fasting, the first 3 days, I was still kind of cloudy. And with this fast, and trust me, I'm not telling you all to go on a fast or anything like that, but I actually did the Daniel fast. There's actually 3 types of Daniel fast, if you don't know. There's the Daniel fast that is the 10-day fast, and then there's the 21-day fast, which a lot of times we put them all together. And that's why there's a third fast, because when you put the 10-day fast and the 21-day fast
31
option together, it becomes 3 fasts. But I did the 10-day fast where it was just vegetables and water. And during that time, the first 3 days, I still felt myself being a little cloudy and not having clarity. And truly, in that third day, I began to prioritize. I began to realign some of the things that Twanda said, some of the things that Victoria said.
Yeah.
I began to truly understand the stillness and meditate on scripture, which one scripture that came to mind, and I actually also shared this with Victoria yesterday. Psalms 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. And in that stillness, that's where the clarity began to happen. That's where I began to realize that, okay, this was an impulse, but now I have discernment. So my discernment over my impulses, sitting with myself and truly realizing, is this in alignment with who I am, with where I'm going, and with where God, most importantly, with what God has chosen for me to do, my purpose. Okay. Purpose. First of all, I talked about place. That's the stillness, sitting with myself. I sat with myself in a place. And then I recognize my purpose, because I asked myself the questions of, who did God create me to be? And now, after the 10 days, I have positioned myself into that purpose because of the place that I went into to get back to the realignment of where I needed to be. So I'm saying to you that even in the midst of chaos, it's not about removing the chaos. It's about grounding yourself and understanding who you are to be able to regain your clarity and clarifying the rhythms, going back to the basics. Some of the things, I wrote this down. I want to really make sure that I say this to you all quickly because sometimes we have to remember the things that we can control and the things that we cannot control.
Yep.
And I have lived by the serenity prayer so long that sometimes it becomes second nature when you think you're living by something and you're really not. So clarity grows when you know what is mine, what is not mine, what I can influence, and what I must release. Release is often the doorway of clarity. Clarity comes from understanding that the external factors are not bigger than the internal factor. That your internal factor must be able to overcome
Sustain
the external factors.
That's so good.
So I leave you with today, what are your internal factors? And what is your external factors that you have brought into your internal that no longer need to be internal and that you need reclarifying and restructure?
It's really good. That's really good. Oh, Jesus. Wow. You know, you guys are talking, and this is really helping me kind of realize some stuff that even have happened in the last couple of days. You know, one thing about chaos is that it barges in. It doesn't ask for permission to enter your life, right? And so, you know, things are happening, especially when you're on the road to purpose. Y'all got to understand that is chaos's sugar, almost. It attracts so much chaos, you know, and you can quickly get confused and lost and everything. And I don't know how much time we have left, but I really wanted to, you know, I want to be transparent. There was a situation that I came across this week. And I was writing in the prayer book that you got me, right? And I finally opened it. That was Christmas. Here we are. But I finally opened it, and it says, you know, how do you see Jesus showing up in other people, and how do you see Jesus showing up in you? And so I'm just like, like, I'm a good person. Like, I just love people, you know? And I think it was a lot of external stuff that I was saying. And I was just like, I love people. I want to help people. I want to do this. I want to do that. And like, that's my making model. This is what I do. This is what I do. So a situation arose. I'm an hour away from home. I go, a friend of mine totals their vehicle. Okay. And I want to go help. I want to go to them. I want to, you know, give them a hug and everything like that. And all of a sudden it became, let's do this, let's do that, you know, let's get your mind off of it. And it was all about that person. I still got kids to pick up. I still had
Mhm.
children in the car. I still had all these things that I had to prioritize, but I didn't because I was acting on impulse and I just wanted to help that person. It
Mm.
helped me realize that a lot of what I was doing was avoiding my own stuff.
Mm.
So when you talk to me, we say yesterday, right? We talked,
Mhm.
was it yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday.
When you talked to me and you said, you know, you need to breathe.
Mhm.
And I think I told you I'm scared to.
Mhm.
And I realized in that moment that I'm scared to breathe because I don't want to be honest about what's happening internally. I rather fix the external because I think that that's still showing God's work,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, say that.
He's trying to shrink your mouth.
And so literally, because it's like now I'm helping other people. So I'm showing up as God, right?
Mhm.
God, I'm doing good deeds,
Mhm.
right? But the good deed is also having order within yourself.
That's right.
That's why I have to say, what does God say about order? Because it's equally important. The things that you do externally and the things that you do internally, it's equally important. It's almost like, you know, going into a toxic relationship and keeping the relationship alive because you want to exemplify God's love, but you are hurting yourself in the midst of it. So what does God say about loving yourself?
Right.
You got to love yourself too.
First.
It's finding that balance. And if we could just talk about balance real quick,
Yeah, but
you know?
I want to just interject because in order to help other people, you have to love yourself first.
Right. It's
You
true.
have to actually know where your foundation, what the integrity, what your faith, where you know, where is that seed? What have you planted inside of yourself that can now flourish and be nurtured with other people?
Mhm.
And when we are still dealing with, I'll say, our traumas
Mhm.
and our past experiences, we can no longer, until we face those traumas and we don't discuss what happened to us, but how it changed us,
My God.
then we know that we are ready and we are healed from that. We have to really understand where we are in those processes of the traumas that we have had, because everything that happens to us, it is a past trauma that we have not dealt with, that we've had in our childhood.
It's true.
And so we have to realize when we felt that particular feeling that we feel, whether it be the anxiety, the depression, the sadness, the loneliness, the joy, the happiness, the excitement, the overwhelming feeling of joy and happiness, whether or not when we feel those, we have to recognize, what was it that was happening in our life when we felt that?
Mm-hmm.
And why do we associate certain things with those moments? And a lot of times that is where our chaos arises from.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of those inner feelings that we have, that we believe when we get a specific question, or we get a specific request, or somebody says, "Hey, I need to talk to you."
Oh my God, you can't say that to me without be like, what? What is it? How?
Then
Why?
that might feel like
That's triggering.
like a trigger for
Right.
you, because when someone said that in the past, it was always information that you did not,
Negative.
that you did not want to
Mhm.
hear. So what I say to us in this moment in time is, we ask ourselves these questions. We always ask, I know I've done it. I'm guilty. Why in the past, until we ask ourselves, why is this happening to me? And instead of asking ourselves, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, what is this moment asking of me?
Mm.
What matters most right now? And what is the truth behind this situation and this noise?
Perfect.
So I leave you with those questions today. I want to just kind of, in a quick 1 minute, give the panel an opportunity to just sum up what it is that you have taken away from clarity and chaos, and what is it that you'll do differently now?
Mm. Who wants to start? Okay. All right, let's get into it. I want to leave you guys with knowing that clarity breeds healthy boundaries. Um, I also want you to kind of understand that chaos is an external factor, as we've said before, and because of that, if not handled appropriately, it can intoxicate your joy and your peace. And what I've learned is starting with a made up mind that we want to be better, that we want more focus and clarity in our lives.
Yeah, for me, clarity comes when you stop carrying emotional weight that belongs to others.
Jesus.
Awesome.
When you are not responsible for their chaos.
Mm.
And we got to ask ourselves, what are we carrying that isn't ours?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, name what's yours and what's not.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Chaos makes everything feel urgent for me.
Yes.
You know, and huge.
Mm-hmm.
Clarity asks for me, what is the next right step, not the whole plan.
Jesus.
That's good. That's good. So today I want to leave you with stillness, being still, listening to your inner man, and shutting out the external factors that are bringing that chaos and confusion. And remember that chaos multiplies options where clarity reduces them.
That's really good.
We are here at Empowered Voices, and we are so glad that you joined us. And we look forward to you joining us again in our upcoming episodes. We love you and we thank you. Please like, subscribe, and tell your friends about us, because we are a community that is empowering your voice as well as our own.
Till next time, y'all.